So, humbleness has this merit and it's pushed on people as a means of control. It is not virtuous, it is not appropriate. If you have skills, if you have something in which you are better than the people around you or better than average, then it is your responsibility to develop those skills, master them, and utilize them to help and benefit other people. There's this idea, I love Robert Kiyosaki work on trying to uplift people who are in the impoverished class into understanding that people in the upper class and ruling classes do not raise their children with the same information that people in the impoverished class raise their children with. Part of those mythologies, he discusses this idea of like pursuing your passions and how, in the 70s, this idealistic idea, impoverished people were going to raise their kids like, oh, you should pursue your passions. This is so important, But he points out this is really selfish thinking. Like, what the heck are you talking about? Pursue your passions. Who has time for that? Pursuing your purpose is different than pursuing your passions. Once you're wealthy, established, retired, you've got it all dialed out, you've taken care of your kids, your life, you've taken care of your purpose, then you can pursue your passions because you have that kind of time and luxury, right? But until that point, you should be working towards your purpose. And it's beautiful how he described that in a video that was really nothing about spirituality, nothing about personal growth. It's actually about your financial intelligence. So that was really eye-opening that this message is universal. And I'm going to warn you again, the most powerful people in any way, the people who are the most successful at business, the people who are most successful talent-wise at dance or music or acting or whatever it is, those people were above average and they were only able to reach a place where you even know they exist. Even like a small local sporting event, whoever excels, whoever wins those competitions, the only reason that you saw that is because something in them knew to resist this very toxic idea about being humble and holding themselves back by humility, or really what it is. Let's look at it. Me being better than you in some way makes you uncomfortable. And so I need to try to pretend that I could be polite in some way and not be better than you in some way to make you feel more comfortable that I am better than you in some way. I am superior to you and you're inferior in some way. Now, when I say these terms, everyone's triggering. Everyone's listening to this. Oh my God, they say these words. We can't say these words. We can't talk about these words. These are horrible words. Why? Why? There is somebody who is superior to me at setting a bone. I'm inferior at setting a bone, and even if I was good at setting it, I'm sure as heck not going to be good at setting my own bone. And so I gladly go to somebody who is an expert, a professional, who's far better than me at setting a bone to do that. Right now, what about I am going to record a commercial and I have a really high budget. I have millions of dollars. It's going to be for the Super Bowl. And I want a amazing song playing in the background. I don't want to just hire some famous person where it has a name and a reputation. No. I want something where I could take a nobody, but I want to wow. Everyone that hears that commercial is going to have that riff of that song in their head for the next 6 months, and everyone's going to talk about it, and it's just going to be intoxicating and enchanting and hypnotic and like subliminal programming, and it's just going to wow the heck out of people, right? I'm not going to go with who's popular, who has a reputation. I'm going to find who is the best, who writes the most enchanting advertising jingles or whatever those are. Yeah, advertising jingles. Who's the best? Who writes the ones that just stick in your head forever? They're like musical drugs. That's who I'm going to look for. That's who I'm going to pay. And that person is going to be way better than other people, and they're not going to be humble. They're not going to say, like, my work has enchanted people, but, it's good. No, they're going to say, I'm the best. My work has made people want to kill themselves or want to buy products they don't want or divorce their spouse or run away from home or whatever the heck it is. Like, I subliminally program people just with this little background melody in the background. I am literally the Pied Piper, okay? That's who I'm going to hire, okay? We don't mess around when it comes to money or business. Who's the person who will close the deal? That's who I'm going to hire. Now, you could say that person is a master sorcerer. because they've closed deals that were impossible to close. They've convinced clients to do things that there's no way they were going to do. You find those people in business all the time that are openly knowing, they're known for being supernatural. They're known for doing something sorcery-like and enchanting of their customers or clients. That's what no one else can do. We don't even think twice about it. Oh, they're just really good at closing the deal. What are they doing? Have you sat there with them? Oh yeah, we sent other people to study them. No one could do what they do. Well, what is it they're doing? It's like they read the person and then they just figure out exactly what to say. They're so smart. They're such a genius. Okay, maybe they're really, really, really smart. They can just pick up the slightest little cues around the face. They know that person's an alcoholic. They know they were beaten by their dad. They know they have sexual repression just from little, nuances in their face and in the look and the desperation in their eyes. They know they have debt. I mean, whatever it is, some people are master analyzers of people, and we just let them be. And in business, we recognize their superiority, their supernaturalness, and we reward it with business opportunities, with money, with acknowledgement, with praise, with whatever. And nobody questions it in business, right? But look at an average community of children or look in your own family. The people who really excelled at things were often told to hold back and be humble and not really excel, especially if they weren't a very small category of traits or skills that are advantageous for business or that are admired for business or that are acceptable. And here's where we're going to go into something. Let's say you're just like an amazing athlete. Yeah, that could be okay. People might let you be. Yeah, your family, your friends, your school staff, they're going to let you be this amazing athlete. They're going to reward you for that. They're going to let you do that. And no one's going to have a problem with it. And if it comes up, someone else says on the playground, like, oh my gosh, Joey is the best at basketball. He's the best. He's the best in the whole school. He's just better than everyone. Nobody could keep the ball. He could get the ball away from them. He's amazing. He could throw a perfect shot from further back than any other student in the whole school. Okay, now let's say they said that, right? No teacher or staff member or anyone, parents are going to come into school and throw a big old fit. They're saying that this child is better than my child, my little snowflake. Oh my gosh. No, because your kid is not that good at basketball. I don't know what to tell you. Or your kid's great at basketball, but that kid's still better. We will accept it when it comes to only a very small categories of skills. But let's say that your child was better at manipulating everyone else in class. They could just trick anyone into anything. They trick kids out of their money and toys. They trick kids into doing their homework for them. They trick kids into lying to the teacher for them. They're just a little trickster. They're a manipulator. Sure, somebody is going to say like, oh, this kid could be in acting. They could be in sales. They could have this great career because they see the money opportunity, the financial opportunity to use manipulating others in this positive way. So they'll let this child continue mastery. When really in a responsible society, we should say, whoa, this kid has one of these talents that can be used for helping or hurting people. They could be a master educator. They could be a master therapist. They could really help people with this skill, or they could really hurt people. And saying that they could go to a career for sales makes it okay. No, it's not okay. What are they selling people? Is it something they need, or is it something that could hurt them? I mean, come on. We excuse dangerous development of mastery all around us all the time, and we don't question it, okay? But there are people around you who have other skills, and they are told to be humble, or they're told their skills don't exist, or they're told they're too dangerous. Oh my gosh, you should never develop those skills. Who decides, who determines, who sets the bar for what is acceptable to shine above others and not make them feel bad, and where you don't have to be humble, okay? Who sets the bar? Who sets the marker for what's acceptable and what's not? And let's look at the other side of this too. Like, what about all the other skills that are not even acknowledged or accepted? I go back to this master manipulator that could be used for education or sales or acting. But sometimes those people are flat out psychic. Just call it what it is. They're not reading facial expressions. They're not reading the mannerisms by which they picked up the coffee and they knew something about them. Yeah, there's that too. And psychic people often have that too. They do. There's intelligence that goes with it a lot of the time, but not always. There are a lot of psychic people that couldn't read a cue. You could be like, can't you see I'm irritated? They can't read expressions. They're psychic. They're literally psychic. This happens. This exists. It's testable. It's recordable. It's provable. Quit pretending it's not, okay? So What about people like that? We're not rewarding them. We're not acknowledging them. We're not teaching them mastery. We're not grabbing those students in the classroom and saying, okay, you're an accelerated psychic. You're going to go, when these kids go to accelerated reading time, you're going to go to accelerated psychic practice time, and we're going to make sure you master this skill. So you know whatever you know. And here's the funny thing about psychic. It's one generic word, but different people know different things. And sometimes they're very different. And the way in which they receive the information that they didn't collect from the five senses. So that, in case you didn't understand what I'm saying, people have data that is accurate, that they can guess or know or intuit, that they did not collect from the five senses. They did not collect it from data that was, revealed to them in the five senses. So these people are what we call psychic, but there's a lot of different ways they collect the data. There's a lot of different types of data they collect. There's a lot of different purposes and uses for this data, but it is essential, and I'm going to tell you why. Every single person who is on Earth today has evolved from the most paranoid, psychic, mystic believing, superstitious people that have ever existed ever. And I know this is true. You could say it's not, but it is. Because everybody else washed away a long time ago with the flood that came that they weren't prepared for, the volcano or the fire or the storm or whatever it is. And only the psychic people survived, and only the people who are really willing to listen to them irrationally and give up everything. Like, no, I've been planting this crop for 3 years. My crops are doing great. Why are you saying to pack up in the middle of the night and move our whole village 200 miles from here? Why would we do that? That's insane. We're not doing that. The people who are like, no, I dream this, and 3 other little psychic children dream this in the village, and we only dream this before there's been natural disasters every time, and it's always us 4, and I'm sorry, this was a big one. This is really like, I woke up screaming, it's a big deal, we got to move now. Like, now. I don't know what happened. We usually get warning. We didn't this time. We're moving. The people who did it, the villages who did it, the cultures who followed that, they survived and everyone else didn't. They long have been eradicated. There's nobody left on Earth that did not evolve from people who trusted their shamanic guidance and their visions and their dreams and followed it, acted on it, and went with it 100% over the data collected from the five senses, because the data collected from the five senses does not tell you about a volcano that's going to erupt in a month from now. It just doesn't. Even birds and animals, they get a pre-warning, but not as much as a human. A human can get a warning far more advanced than the animals around us, which all do get a warning. So then what the heck's up with all of you that can't feel when an earthquake is coming? My back will tell me at least 2 hours before an earthquake is coming, like so severely I can't take it. And finally when the earthquake comes, I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Oh, my back, it'll finally relax now. What the heck? It's just like the birds and the squirrels and everything else. They feel it. You also have that humanoid. Yes, you do. And you've been taught to ignore it. You've been taught not to develop it. And you've been taught it doesn't exist. And you were taught that your ancestors were not 100% dependent on the people that had more of that instinct. They could get it sooner than 2 hours before. Those are the people they were dependent on. They always have been. And everyone else didn't survive. Period, end of story. So let's stop talking about that. Let's move on. So, where am I going with this? Somewhere you don't want me to go, I'm sure. But here's where it has to go. There are people around you right now in your life, and most likely they will not watch this video firsthand. You're going to have to actually make someone in your life watch this video. And this is going to be really weird. Why? Because the people who this most applies to would never watch this video. I mean, maybe you randomly found it cool. You're one of the few, but most people, they wouldn't, because they're supernatural. They don't need to watch this video. Duh. They already know they're supernatural. They already know that whole humble message was stupid for them or whatever. And they've learned to get around it. They've learned to navigate so that they're humble enough that people will accept them and not resent them, attack them, villainize them, target them, burn them at the stake, whatever they do to the people that they find in their village that have supernatural abilities, which that has also been going on for 2,500 years severely, but even the last 200, I'd say 200 to 400 years, it's just been ridiculously bad for people who are gifted around the planet. It's not going well. The age of honoring those people and helping them develop mastery so that they can help everyone, that age came and went a long time ago. We are just villainizing them, we're rounding them up, burning them at the stake, suppressing them, teaching them not to be who they are, not to utilize their gifts, definitely not going in the direction of mastery. Which brings me to my point. Remember, I started this little segment with only the people who listen to survive. Well, now we're in a time period where we're not listening, and there's a lot of messages coming through a lot of people, and they're really similar messages, and all of humanity needs them, and we're not listening. And oh my goodness, that's so stupid. We're not going to make it. So some people are actually not going to make it because they don't have guidance within themselves, and they don't know who the guide around them is to listen to, and the guide who's around them is probably so egotistically wrapped up in their own defense of being who they are. They defend every second of the day their own existence. They're not going to help you, and they're not going to want to help you, and they're not even going to know they're supposed to help you, so they're not going to fulfill their destiny and purpose of why they're even on earth with all the supernatural talents they have, which brings me back to why they're probably not going to watch this video. So who's this for? I don't know, but if you know one of these people, I don't know how you can help them, but they need to wake up and they need to do their job because all of us are dependent on them. And so I'm going to go into this. This is how you're going to recognize these people around you. They're going to have more than one or two areas in which they are noticeably above average. And I don't mean a little bit above average. I mean like they're exceptional. And there's going to be more than one of these categories. And this is where people are like, oh, that's so mean to say that. But it's not, okay? So here's the thing. Number one, they're going to be, they may not have all of these, okay? But they're going to have several. And it's going to be a few, okay? They're going to be above average intelligence. They're going to be smarter than the average bear. And it's going to come out. And maybe they didn't do well in school because school's not really designed to reward intelligent people. It's designed to reward people with good memories. That's it. So maybe they were really, really intelligent, but they didn't have a good memory. But, maybe they did. So you might have seen evidence in school, but somewhere early on, young, they spoke very articulately, they read well, they wrote well, they had mastery of language. It's one of the first types of intelligence that could help others. Like, let's say you have a bunch of ideas in your mind, which are really, really smart and could help the people around you, but if you can't communicate it, then what good does it do? So really, the muscle in the skull is above average. It calculates faster, better, more accurately in more than a few subjects. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, communication. They're just articulate. They're good at communicating, expressing themselves, because again, doesn't do any good if you have answers that you cannot tell anyone about. So that's number two. Number three, they're often pleasant to look at and above average pleasant to look at, because think about it. If I was going to program a telephone, that's a bad idea. If I was going to, I don't know, a receiver, a television, a radio, something that was going to give you a signal or a message, I can't make it look really hard to look at, because how long are you going to look at it to hear the message, to receive the message? It has to be pleasant enough to look at. The voice has to be pleasant enough to hear. So you're going to see people that have above average voices, above average faces, above average ability to communicate, above average ideas that are worth communicating. Then you're going to see some physical talent often. And again, not everyone's going to fit all of these, but most people will. So when I say physical talent, you're going to see an ability that was above average in sports, in martial arts, in a skill like dance, or Olympic mastery of some kind, something athletic or physical, or I hate to say this, even violent, like someone who just is an exceptional, dangerous person fighting wise. You see it. You see, without the training, without the mastery, the time to master, they are potentially dangerous with their body, or they're potentially talented. They're skilled in some sport or something like dance that shows talent and usually takes a lot of time to master. So you're going to see exceptional ability in the body, which, kind of goes with the good genetics of the good face. It's not genetics. It's far beyond that. And you'll see it because these people will often come to people who their family doesn't really historically have people with good genetics or whatever that come out really smart, really articulate, with really good faces and physical talents and skills and strength. Sometimes there'll be superhuman strength. So it won't even be noticeable. Like, it didn't always go into sports or martial art. There might be just that quiet little kid in your family who can lift something that just makes no sense for their body weight and their muscle size and whatever. They've demonstrated physical supernatural abilities, okay? So they have intellectual supernatural abilities. We have communication supernatural abilities. We have pleasant to look at supernatural abilities, which, yeah, that's not fair, but we're just talking about recognizing who around you might be supposed to be in the role of helping you. who's supposed to be in the role of being a guide and being useful and being psychic and being supernatural. And I'm going to call it what it is. And this is where people are going to shut this video off and they're not going to keep watching, even if up to this point they were like, God, it's just really feeling like I need to hear this. I'm just going to call them what they are. They're living gods. And that's going to piss a lot of people off. And here's why. Everybody alive has this God presence in them. I don't mean Zeus in the clouds, and I don't mean from the Bible, their version of Zeus either. I mean like truly a supernatural presence of love and joy and power and creation and life and all that is. That's what I'm talking about. And so everyone has that. But again, we're talking about people that are flowing more of that specific frequency of energy through them ongoingly in many ways, more than one category. They are flowing this presence through them, something supernatural, because they are supernatural. And they're supposed to have been recognized at young age, trained to mastery, made sure their hearts were kept good and pure. They were supposed to be taught altruism instead of selfishness. And instead, we have a culture that tells you, first of all, you can't be supernatural because that doesn't exist. Second of all, you can't be supernatural because it'll make people around you feel bad. We have to dumb you down and hold you down and suppress you. And we have to make you humble and you have to practice humility. No, we should have been like, you're a master at this. We need you to keep going. You're great at drawing. You're great at sports. You're great at running. You're faster. You're stronger. You're smarter. You're able to calculate numbers faster. You're able to put together words faster. You're able to read and understand every word of it faster than the people sitting next to you. At what point did we decide that it was acceptable to not recognize who around us has potential for greatness and help them in every way we can achieve it, and then teach them that the purpose of them having the support of their community to attain this greatness is to then serve the community with the magnitude of their greatness? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to call this flat out. This all goes back to the teachings of the ancient pharaohs. And I know, you've been lied to. You've been told that the pharaohs were taught something else, but they weren't. And the historical data is there, and the Egyptologists in England have been lying to the English-speaking word about exactly what it says in plain, what is that, Coptic and some ancient hieroglyphs, and then modern-day Arabic. I mean, why is it that they can get so much farther in analyzing hieroglyphics than these British Egyptologists that have been on it for hundreds of years, because they have an agenda. And the British Egyptologists have always had an agenda, and it is to suppress the message and the practice of the pharaohs. That's what it is. And you've been told, oh, the Illuminati and the ruling class that are, adrenochromatics and they hate humanity and they just want to hurt you all and you're all slave class. They're the pharaohs. No, they're not the pharaohs. That's what the Egyptologists have been distracting humanity towards. And you think, well, what the heck are you talking about? I thought you were talking about someone who's next to me at work who maybe is better at doing something and I'm not utilizing their skills to help my company or to help my family, or this medical practitioner who could do something to help heal kids or whatever. Like, why are you suddenly talking about pharaohs? Where do we go with this, Shireen? Okay, here's the thing. This is where it gets really weird, okay? So that pharaoh presence is in you. And in some people, it just has expressed more strongly than in others. Different traits express more strongly in different people, period. Is it fair? No. Is anything on earth fair? I mean, nothing about earth is fair. I don't like weather. Cold is not fair, okay? Hot is not fair. The fact that Anglo-European people could be in the sun for 5 minutes and get a sunburn, that's not fair. I could be in the sun for 3 days straight with no sunscreen and my vitamin D's low. And I'm not that dark. So, I mean, well, fair? What's fair? Get over fair, okay? Humanity is not meant to live individual people on their own. The myth of independence is toxic and poisonous. I have a lot of videos about that and written articles about that from over the last 30 years. Please read about that. The myth of independence, it's toxic. It's ruining your life. But we're talking about this idea that you want to hold people down around you because they make you feel not as pretty or not as smart or not as fast or not as strong or not as whatever the heck you feel not enough as because someone next to you is better than you. What the heck? That only comes from a competitive myth of independence BS culture. Humanity has evolved in tribes, in villages, and in extended families, and the people around you recognizing that your sister was a better singer than you? Great. Now you get music. Now you get the joy of music, okay? Your sister singing, it sounds prettier to your ears than it does to her own ears. Her gift of music doesn't bless her as much as it blesses you. Guess what? You resent attractive people around you. I'm not as pretty as so and so. They have a nicer body than me. I hate them. What the heck? They don't see themselves. I don't see my own face. My face is for your pleasure. You enjoy looking at my face. I don't see my face. I see your face. Okay? So you shouldn't be upset if you're less attractive than me. I should be upset if you're less attractive than me. But I'm not, because I don't care. I'm not looking at your face. I'm looking at your energy. I'm looking at your soul. I'm looking at your personality. I'm looking at your usefulness. I'm a teacher. I'm looking at your potential and your aptitude. I'm looking at something else in there. I don't see your face. The longer I've known you, the less I could see your face. If I had to draw you, I couldn't do it. I just see your energy, I see your purpose, I see your soul. I don't even see that. But that's not my point. My point is you've been taught to resent the gifts around you that are for you. If you believe in a divine creation that is doing this on purpose, or whether you believe in random chaos that has divine presence all around us in its own way, it doesn't matter what you believe. The truth is, the person next to you who can read faster than you, that's for your benefit. That's so that time when you're in trouble and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I have a limited time and I have to read all this because my child is sick, or because I'm in legal trouble, or because, I don't know, whatever the reason is. You go to that person and you're like, please help me. You read faster and more accurately than me. Please do this, okay? Let's say you need to sell a product. I need to sell a product and I need really cute little kids. I am old. I'm not a cute little kid. I'm really young, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not a cute little kid. So I'm going to like, oh, who has cute little kids I know? Hey, can your cute little kid hold my little thing I made? I don't know what I would have made that. Oh, this curriculum. Can your little kids show like them reading this thing and like they took my class and now they can read. How cute. We do this for advertising purposes or whatever. Don't resent them. They're there to help you. Your sister who sings better than you, that was a gift for your ears to hear that beautiful music throughout your life, not to resent her, not to feel like, I don't sing that well. Whatever, you're probably faster than her. And in an emergency, the family would depend on you to go run and get help before your sister would be sitting there singing. Who cares if she sings in that moment? Everyone had their purpose in the tribe. Everyone had their places that they're supernatural. And if we were rewarding each other, we would all be benefited. So stop resenting each other. Stop feeling less than or not enough. Start mastering where you're supernatural, and then serve the people around you, because with great power comes great responsibility. And that was the message of the pharaohs. The pharaohs were originally taught, you can look this crap up too. The pharaohs were originally taught that every single one of your subjects are like your children, and it is your duty to uplift them, to make them smarter, to make them more cooperative and kind and get along with each other and well-behaved so that society can function and you can have progress, to make them healthier by improving their sanitation through knowledge and science and hygienic practices, by bringing them up through education, knowledge, having them read and write and do art and dance and music, and making them enriched and more of like a being, in these practices. Your subjects were supposed to be uplifted towards this God presence, from the monkey in pain and suffering and confusion to the angel who is enlightened. That's the pharaoh's job, is to be the transmutative, I'm not saying the right word, the agent of transmutation. That's what I wanted to say. The agent of the change agent, the alchemist, who takes these, and I mean, depending on what you believe, I just think there's way too much evidence of alien intervention and alien influence and whatever. If you don't believe that, that's fine. That's your choice. But whatever you believe, the pharaohs demonstrated again and again and again, and there's proof that they were not human, that they had supernatural abilities, and they had to prove it to the priests and the religious rulers of the time. And believe you what? There's never been a time period in which religious leaders and political leaders did not want to retain their power. They're not going to believe in some pharaoh. Oh yeah, because you're born to this guy. Sure, okay. Or, oh, you think you came from a spaceship. Oh, okay. Or you think you're, the Dogon tribe from Mali and you just showed up here in Egypt and you tell us you're the ruler now? Yeah, right. Let's see you do something impressive. Well, they did. They did something impressive. And it did prove to the others that they were supernatural, and they demonstrated that mastery and they demonstrated that power, and that's where they got the respect. But they had responsibility, and it was incredible responsibility. You have no idea the responsibilities that goes with that.